In the summer of 1918, World War I had turned into a battle of attrition. Both sides had suffered high casualties in what had become trench warfare. Looking for ways to break the stalemate, both sides took to the skies with new weapons of war, hoping to gain an advantage. The U.S. Army, 27th Aero Squadron, freshly formed and stationed in France. Newly trained pilots were arriving to take on a new mission: the destruction of German observation balloons that have been giving away Ally positions. Among these newly trained pilots is Lieutenant Frank Luke Jr. from Arizona, eager and enthused to get in on the fight. He was the first to volunteer for the mission, and along with his close friend, Lieutenant Joseph Frank Wayner, they would attack these important targets, defended by anti-aircraft guns on the ground.
All right, Joe. Ready for our first mission? This is what we've been waiting for.
I don't know, Frank. I was hoping for a little one-on-one air-to-air combat. There's gonna be artillery shooting at us from the ground.
Yeah, and German fighters defending the balloons. But I've got it all worked out. Follow me in. You'll be my wingman.
All right, Frank. But don't be too bold. Besides, those balloons are pretty big targets. Hopefully they'll go down easy. Easy as pie. Just stay with me. Cover my tail, I got this.
Then in the morning, they both scrambled across the field to their fighters. Frank started his plane, balancing his engine. He was first to taxi out to open field, followed closely by Joe. Joe opened up his throttle and trimmed his engine as he prepared to take off. Both men lifted their planes up from the field, one after the other. They climbed into the sky, headed out over the battlefield, once high in the air. Beneath them laid the realities of the war below. Across enemy lines, Frank signals to Joe. Below them, he sees a Friedrichshafen G-3 bomber, alone. Joe guns his engine and follows Frank as they both dive in. The rear gunner fires at them as the pilot tries to shake them off. Frank pulls up and dives in, firing. As they both pass, the bomber plummets towards the ground. They turn and look for the wreckage, their view obscured by the clouds. Low on fuel, they both head home.
What do you mean it doesn't count? I blew his wing off! He went into a dive, nose first towards the ground!
It goes down as unconfirmed, Lieutenant Luke. All kills must be confirmed. You know that, Lieutenant.
You gotta be kidding! He didn't have a wing! There was no way he could pull out, let alone land!
Lieutenant Wiener, did you see him go down? Did you see any wreckage?
No, sir. We didn't spot the wreckage. But, like Frank said, he blew off a wing. The German disappeared as he was falling into the clouds.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Since there's no confirmation from the air or the ground, it goes down as unconfirmed, Lieutenant Luke.
Now ain't that a pile of horse manure? I'm telling you, that was my first kill!
Lieutenant, you are arrogant and disobey orders. The matter is settled. Better luck next time.
Yeah, thanks. Better luck next time.
Good for nothing, lousy desk flying captain. Yeah, better luck next time? I'll show him. Mark my words. You'll see. I'll show you all.
Several days had passed, and yet Lieutenant Frank Luke had yet to get his chance at the enemy. He was known to ignore orders. He often flew alone, searching for a target. Then, on September 12th, he found what he was looking for. There it was, a German observation balloon defended by ground artillery. The artillery opened up, but their shells fell short of their target. This was it. He swooped down on the balloon and opened fire. The balloon became engulfed in an ever-spreading ball of fire. Frank frantically looked around, and then he saw the burning wreckage below. As he landed nearby, confirmation was all he thought of.
Where have you been, Lieutenant Luke? I don't recall giving you orders to leave the field.
You said you needed confirmation. So, I went to get you some!
Lieutenant Luke, what is that you're carrying?
Confirmation, sir! Witness statements, and a piece of the German observation balloon I just shot down!
Lieutenant, hand them here. I'll review the statements.
Why can't you just give me credit for the kill?
You disobeyed my orders. I'll let you know when you can fly again. Dismissed, Lieutenant.
The beginning of the St. Mihiel offensive. September 14th, 1918. Lieutenant Frank Luke and Lieutenant Joseph Weiner were to attack the German observation balloons. Together, they turned towards 2 German balloons. Frank moved into position on the first balloon, while Lieutenant Weiner provided cover. Lieutenant Luke opened fire, ignoring the artillery below him. To his amazement, the balloon continued to float unharmed. He decided to turn his attention to the other balloon. It went up in flames. Then Lieutenant Luke pulled up as he and Lieutenant Weiner turned back for the first balloon. Again, he fired continuous rounds at the balloon. And again, it remained afloat. The ground artillery was getting close. On his 6th pass, finally, he hit his mark. The flames engulfed the gondola and rose as it exploded. With shells exploding around him, low on fuel and his ammo almost depleted, he and Lieutenant Weiner made a hasty retreat for home. Over the next 2 days, they shot down 5, 3 the first day, and 2 the second day. Two days later, the 2 crossed enemy lines once again. Immediately, Lieutenant Luke spotted 2 German observation balloons. He attacked. The first balloon exploded. Luke didn't know that a Fokker D-7 was closing in on him. He turned his plane, steadied his aim, and fired. The German was hit. He tried to recover. Luke flew past firing and set fire to the other balloon. Another German Fokker 7 broke off of Luke to go after Joe. The bullets struck Joe. The plane caught fire. Joe's Spad plummeted to crash on the ground. Seeing it all happen, Luke dove in, strafing the German's plane. As he unjammed a machine gun, he noticed a German Hanover CL ground attack fighter. The fighter tried to dive away. The entire battle lasted for only a brief 10 minutes. But in that time, he had lost his best friend. Afterwards, he sat alone on his bunk. He had just watched his best friend die, right before his very eyes. On the morning of the 28th of September, Lieutenant Luke returned to the airdrome after spending the night at a nearby airfield. On his return trip, he shot down another German observation balloon. Along with a ground attack Hanover CL airplane.
Lieutenant, Captain Stout informs me that you have been absent without leave. What do you have to say for yourself, Lieutenant?
Captain Grant, sir. I was experiencing engine trouble. I spent the night at a nearby airdrome.
Engine trouble, Lieutenant. Highly unlikely. I also understand that you took it upon yourself to shoot down 2 more German aircraft.
Yes, sir. 1 observations balloon and 1 Hanover CL. I was only doing my duty, sir.
Only doing your duty without orders! This is one of many times that you decided matters for yourself!
That's right, Captain. He thinks orders don't pertain to him.
Lieutenant, you are one hell of a fighter pilot. But you're a terrible soldier. You're restricted to base!
That's right, Luke. Pending charges of being absent without leave. You're dismissed, Lieutenant!
Totally seething in anger, Lieutenant Luke once again flew away without authorization, headed for field headquarters near Verdun.
Where can I find Major Hartney?
Lieutenant Luke, why are you here? I don't recall sending for you. But I've thought about it.
These reports from Captain Grant about you are most disturbing.
Sir, I can explain. I came here to ask you to stop Captain Grant. He has grounded me, sir.
Most likely for a good reason. Frank, you're an excellent flyer. What is it all about this time?
Major, sir, I had engine trouble. I had to struggle to the nearest base.
I returned this morning. Now I'm facing charges of desertion.
Engine trouble, huh? All right, Lieutenant Luke. You're lucky I need you.
I need you to behave. You are to take these new orders and return to base.
Thank you, Major. I'll do my best. I can't stand being on the ground for too long. The air is where I belong.
Lieutenant, the press is calling you the Arizona Balloon Buster. Don't let it go to your head. You're dismissed.
Lieutenant Luke didn't return to base. That evening, he flew 6 miles behind the German lines. He found his target, 3 observation balloons. He turned on the first target, lined up his sights, and fired. Then he moved in on the second balloon. As he pulls around for the last balloon, his eyes locked on the German in the gondola. He watched as the balloon went down, as the sound of artillery and rifle fire grew louder. The bullet passed through his shoulder and out the other side. He started strafing German soldiers on the ground below. He realized he had been seriously wounded. The adrenaline flowed through his veins as he bled. He continued strafing, desperately, looking for a place to land. He began following a stream, leading to a clearing, weakened and bleeding. He found a place to land. Heavily bleeding, he ran to find cover. Luke drew his Colt and started firing. The next morning, the German infantry, while searching for Lieutenant Luke, found his lifeless body nearby the stream. Laying in the grass, not far from him, was his empty Colt 45. They carried his lifeless body back with them to camp. Between September 12th and the 29th, Luke shot down 14 German balloons and 4 airplanes. All of these 18 victories occurred during just 10 sorties in 8 days, a feat unsurpassed by any pilot in World War I. He was the first airman to receive the Distinguished Service Cross, along with the Bronze Oak Leaf Cluster and the Congressional Medal of Honor. He was second only to Eddie Rickenbacker, who would later say,
"The most daring fighter pilot of the entire war. No other pilot came close, not even Baron von Richthofen."
All right, Joe. Ready for our first mission? This is what we've been waiting for.
Good to see you, old friend.